What's up, football heads? Welcome back to that show. As always, I am Kyle. He is Caesar. We're back yet again. This is what, week 15? Week 15 already. Noob football picks.
What are we? Three weeks left? Is that what we have?
Yeah, after this one, that's it.
Jeez, right here, man.
I mean, both our teams should be playing bonus ball. Yours is already confirmed to be playing bonus
Yes,
ball, but
clinched.
it goes away like that, man. Just it feels like it should be like week 4 or week 5.
This is why the NFL is the best league in the world.
Yep.
They don't have 100 games in the season. You don't see the same teams playing against each other countless times in a seven, like best out of four, seven, whatever series. It's just you go in, you have your games for the season, shortest season. Every single game counts. Every single game is important. So that's why this is the best league because you don't waste your time. Look at the NBA. They have this in-season tournament going on right
I
now
like
just
I
to make
like
sure
the
that
in
people.
season tournament.
Hey,
I want that on
it's
the
a
record.
it's a good concept, but they had to do that because did not give a shit about the early games of the
Oh yeah,
NBA. They
it's
didn't.
with basketball. It's you tune in after the All Star break. With baseball, probably the same thing. And if you're a diehard who starts the season out, like I got to see how the team looks. You're excited for ball or whatever to be back. Every other sport, every other league, you get to the middle of this, it's the dog days of summer in baseball, and you get bored with it. And you like maybe you watch, maybe you don't, but it's just like it's a slog, man. The NFL just ramps and keeps ramping until the Super Bowl happens, and then we all crash out. And then the off
Well,
season, baby, my
unless you're
playoffs.
unless you're one of those fans that as soon as the teams gets eliminated in the playoffs or doesn't even make the playoffs, you just go hide in your cave and wait for the next season to start.
Can't have it. I got to
Yeah,
see what's happening.
I can't have it. I mean, the Eagles went one and out last season, and I still kept watching. I watched that Super Bowl, wishing that both teams would lose, but only one team had to win. So unfortunately, it was the Chiefs. But
Yeah.
I would have said the same thing. It was the 49ers.
Well, speaking of the 49ers, they kick us off this week hosting the Los Angeles Rams. How you like that
Excellent segue.
transition?
Excellent.
Fantastic. Best I've ever done. Tremendous. And I'm ruining it by gloating about it right now. But the Rams now firmly back in the hunt at 7-6, headed to San Francisco. You got master and pupil McVay going to take on Kyle Shanahan. Niners bounce back, get a huge win over the Bears last week. Absolutely beat the dog shit out of them, just in time for the Bears to try and bounce back against the Vikings. And Rams eked one out. Just a massive old West in the new West shootout against Buffalo. Some controversial decisions, some controversial calls in that game, but Rams get it done. Both teams come in off a win. Huge game here. You feel like if the Niners lose, they're probably out of it. Rams, if they win, Seattle's got a tough matchup against Green Bay this week that we'll get into. Rams, Niners, who you got Thursday night football?
Listen, let's be honest. The 49ers beat the 2024 Chicago Bears. All right. They had a good week. I hope they enjoyed them. Their running backs are falling off the cliff. I don't know why they keep getting their running backs hurt. I don't know what's going on there. I have no doubt in my mind that this game is going to be on the Rams side. I'm picking the Rams.
All right. Well, unlike as usual, even though it should be as usual because this is a professional show. I guess it's not professional. We're not making money. We're losing money. But I have my notes here prepared for the week. And I came in fully prepared to pick the Rams because it's bad for the Vikings. And I don't want to see the Rams in the playoffs because they got too much firepower. But the Rams are 31st in yards per attempt allowed, 26th in defensive passer rating, and 25th in defensive yards per carried allowed. Whereas the Niners second in the league in yards per attempt allowed, ninth in defensive passer rating, and top 10th in yards per carry allowed. So I think Kyron Williams still probably going to have a decent game. Matt Stafford's Matt Stafford. They got the weapons. Puka Nakua is a freak. So, like, I expect
Yeah.
they're going to do better than average against what apparently I had no idea is still a incredibly good 49ers defense. But I'm picking the Niners. I was prepared to pick the Rams. I looked at this. I say, you know what? Niners defense is playing well. They figured some things out last week. They're missing the weapons, but their defense should be able to suppress the Rams a little bit on a short week coming off of a shootout game against Buffalo. I think the Rams might take a little bit to get going. And I don't know. Again, like you said, the Niners beat the 2024 Bears, but I'm taking the Niners.
Will Brock Purdy play?
Is that up in? If Brock Purdy does not play, then I'm not picking the Niners. I'm saying that right now. If Brock Purdy plays, I'm rolling with the Niners.
I believe he's suffering from some sort of shoulder injury or something. I'm not really sure. He's like day to day. He's like he could play, he might not play. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
On a short week too.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow before the game starts. Shanahan will be like, fuck it. What the fuck am I gonna do? But all right, that's fine. You pick the 49ers. I'm gonna pick the Rams. I'm gonna stick with the Rams. I think, like you said, they had a great game against Buffalo last week. They have all their offensive weapons. They're not riddled with injuries like the 49ers are. And I'm confident that this division is going to continue to be competitive, and I expect the Rams to try to, one up and see if they can get it, right past the Seahawks.
I don't know. By the numbers, the Rams defense just ain't that good. And like, how many players other than Jared Verse can you name on the Rams defense?
Listen, yeah, the Rams seasons might not be that good, and the 49ers defense might be really good, but is the 49ers offense any good at this point because of all the injuries? It's not. They beat the Bears.
If Isaac Guerrero can't play, then I think that's huge because if he's in at least,
I believe he's not.
Well, who came in after? Someone else came in after him and was still running the ball like 6 yards a carry. It wasn't a ton of attempts, but the Niners, the strength of the run game is the run game. It's not necessarily the back. Like they got McCaffrey because he's the best in the business, or it was at the time. I'm not going to disrespect Saquon Barkley like that, but
thank you.
That he allows you to use this genius run game at the absolute highest level, but they still have a genius run game. So I think you could plug anybody in there, and they're going to get some rushing yards against a bad Rams rushing defense.
Hey, it's a divisional game. They're both going to
throw the records out the window.
Yeah, so they're going to be playing hard. They're trying to get to the playoffs. They're trying to make it. 49ers are trying to desperately move out from the bottom of the barrel because they're at the bottom of the division right now. So let's just see what happens tomorrow. I still think the Rams are going to get it done, but it should be a fun game.
Yeah,
and they're all Al Michaels special.
All right, now let's head to Sunday. First game I got here on my list is Baltimore Ravens off a bye, I believe, the loss to your Philadelphia Eagles.
That's correct.
Headed to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Football Giants of New Jersey. Ravens Giants, dare I ask, who you got?
When you have a bad day at work.
Yes.
And then you get home and maybe your parents, you still live with your parents. Let's just put that as an example. Let's say you live with your parents still, and you get from work, home from work, and your parents are just getting on your nerves because you're already frustrated and annoyed, and you just lash out at your parents.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is gonna be a lashing of the Giants. I expect the Ravens just to run over the Giants. The Giants are tanking. They don't give a shit anymore. DeVito's going to be playing. Drew Lock is not going to be playing. I think he's also injured. So it's a no-brainer. The Ravens are going to win this game. If you pick the Giants, I'm not going to take you seriously.
Well, here's the thing. The New York Football Giants of New Jersey are not going to win this game. I'm not going to do the whole song and dance. They're 28th in 29th in rushing yards allowed, 30th in yards per carry allowed, and they've given up 14 rushing TDs. And you got to deal with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. It ain't gonna happen. Ravens bounce back. All the reasons you said. They had a full week to stew on losing that Eagles game where they had opportunities to win. Justin Tucker missed some kicks that no matter how you lose that game, I still think you're going into that week just like, man, let's get right after this. And you got the perfect get right opponent, the Giants. Ravens
Well,
by 30, maybe
Jesus.
more. I don't know. The Giants are dead, dude.
Plus, you got Derrick Henry trying to catch up with Saquon Barkley's in yards. So
You got people flying planes over the stadium telling them to just stop fucking up the team. Like there was no specific message. It was just like just do better.
on the day that Drew Lock decided to not get a first down and just do a right 90-degree turn to this fucking sidelines,
they're done.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Next.
All right. Next up, two teams just about as irrelevant as the New York Football Giants of New Jersey. You have the New York Football Jets of New Jersey headed down to Duval to take on, once again, the Jacksonville Tony Khans. They've lost it. They lost their name again.
Do I have to pick one?
Yeah.
Like, do I really have to pick between the 2024 Jets and the 2024 Jaguars, which are horrible teams at this time? I was thinking, oh, I should pick the Jaguars. You know, Dougie P, he's struggling. Maybe just give him some support. But I don't know, man. That last week's game was what the hell was that? 10-6. They beat the Titans 10-6. Like, who the hell watched that game? I'm sorry for everybody who did that, but I'm picking the Jets for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just going with the Jets. I think they are due to win. I think they need to win again.
Well, you're correct. Because I'm picking the Jets, and the Jets are going to win. The Jags stink. Mac Jones stinks. My recap of that Titans-Jaguars game was literally I read the score, and I said, I'm not talking about these teams. And I went to the next game. And you know I will never give up a reason to rant about something. I said, nope. 10-6, next.
They suck. Both teams suck. Both teams have bad vibes. The Jets suck a little less. That's it.
At the very least, Aaron Rodgers finally threw for 300 yards. It had been several years since he had done that. And, you know, they got a bunch of yards. They got talent on the defense, talent on the offense. They're a more talented team. They suck just slightly less than the Jaguars do. Jets.
If you're already out of the playoffs, can you just, get removed from the schedule? If this game
does not need to be played. There's just no reason.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why do you have two teams that are not in the playoffs anymore? They have zero chance to get in the playoffs playing. Like, at this point, just keep tickets away for free.
Nobody's going to enjoy watching it at home. Nobody's going to enjoy watching it in the stadium. They could get drunk for cheaper and watch it on TV if they wanted to, or they could just sit in the parking lot and take their shirts off and pretend they're at the game. Somebody's going to get hurt. There's just no reason to play this game. There's no reason to play the game. Just both teams agree to a forfeiture and a tie, and let's just not do it.
Just start the bench. Start the bench and just have them just have fun.
I guess there's draft implications. Both fan bases probably, I don't know, the Jets are probably still licking their wounds from coming in the season saying, like, we got a chance to win the Super Bowl. And now they're 3-10. But the Jags, they want the top pick. The Jags should come out and forfeit. That's what they should do.
All right. What's next?
All right, next, the Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the frisky Carolina Panthers, coming off yet another near defeat of a damn good football team, a great football team, one of the top football teams. But they didn't get it done, but they're finding something. Cowboys, another hilarious loss. The only team in history that can turn a blocked punt into a bad thing. Cowboys, Panthers, two blue and vaguely silver, white, whatever the fuck teams. Who you got?
Listen, remember last week when we said we can't make fun of the Cowboys fans anymore? They're just sad. They just got sadder. like it's just a sad situation. Like I just the clip of the special teams coach just accelerating the block punt, and suddenly just realizing, fuck, we lost the ball. Like it's just like
Oh
Micah
my
Parsons was
god.
crying. Micah Parsons was legit about to cry, and he left like a little child. Like didn't win the game. Fucking CD Lamb was bitching and moaning all that second. Like that team's vibes are bad. They're really bad. I feel for them. If I mean, I would feel for them if I were an Eagles fan. I mean, I messaged Adams. He didn't reply, obviously, but I said, as an Eagles fan, I'm glad. But as a football fan, I find this sad or something on the lines like that. Like it's a sad situation. But I'm picking the Cowboys. Why? Because they're not playing at home. They're playing in Carolina, and that's the only reason I think they're gonna win this game because that stadium is cursed for them.
That was a shocking twist at the end that I was not prepared for. As you were talking, I was preparing to pick based on how you were picking, and now I have to reevaluate everything. But to your point, the Cowboys are 4-2 on the road this year. That's like an 11-12 win team. If they played every game on the road, they might, they might be in contention for the division at this point.
Which they're
But they're
not.
not.
They're already disqualified. They're not even.
But they are playing this game on the road in Carolina. The Panthers are dead last in rushing yards allowed,
Well, they're
and
playing slowly.
Dallas ran on Cincinnati on Monday night. They were doing a really nice. Rico Dowdle was running the
Yep.
damn thing. Zeke wasn't doing shit, but
Yep.
Rico was doing shit. So do they? Do we trust the Cowboys to
My
just
biggest
lean
concern will
on the
be
run?
my biggest concern will be the defense on the Cowboys side. They just got an injury.
Yeah,
Can you,
I mean,
can you hear me fine?
huge loss. Overshawn, they're saying he might miss all of next year. That's terrible. Um,
He
yeah,
tore all he tore all CLs. All of them.
Jesus.
All of them. He tore them all. It was a really sad situation. I saw the replay. Like his own lineman fell on his leg. It's like ugh.
I'm gonna I'm gonna stick with. I think the Cowboys can win this game if they run the ball, and they should win this game if they run the ball. But the Panthers got something going on.
Look,
A
they
lot of
almost beat
these,
us. They almost beat the Eagles.
then they would turn around and get blown out by by Dallas on the road. You know, I'm picking the Cowboys. Fuck it. That's where I wanted to go. I thought for sure you were picking the Panthers, so I wanted to pick the Cowboys. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. But if the Panthers win, I mean, it shouldn't be a shock. They're playing good football.
They woke up. You know, a little too late, but they woke up. What's his face? He's playing really. Bryce Young is playing really well. These past couple of games, like I said, they almost beat the Eagles. Unfortunately, some drop passes. You know, yeah, it's a shame for them. But you know, the refs did not see a face mask with Calcaterra on the sideline, but they were able to see that drop pass. I don't know how, but you know, I'm not gonna speculate on the eyesight of the refs on the sidelines. Anyways, yeah, they're playing really well. So you know, I'm expecting this to be a hard game for the Cowboys, but I expect the Cowboys to win, and I just love them to win so they can just talk shit about how they beat the Panthers and we barely beat the Panthers because you know that keeps the rivalry going.
I'm tempted to flip my pick again, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stay on the Cowboys, which means I'm putting at least $10 on the Panthers, which will then counteract this, and then the Cowboys win. But next up, stay in the NFC East. You got the Washington Commanders. I believe the Commanders are coming off a bye, right?
Uh, yes, they are.
Commanders coming off a bye, headed to the Bayou to take on the New Orleans Saints.
The new
Derek
New
Carr,
Orleans Saints.
yes, Derek Carr broken left hand, I believe. He is out. Correct?
That's correct. That's correct. He's out of this game, and it's the Saints and it's the Commanders who have been really well, a really good team this season. David Daniels has been playing well. They lost some momentum the past couple of weeks since they lost to the Eagles, but they're still able to get the wins, and they're still able to be in contention to win the division. They're still not done, so they can still win the division. It all depends on how the last few games end up for both the Commanders and the Eagles. With that said, I think the Commanders are going to beat the Saints easily. I don't think the Saints have, that much dog, that much fight in the dog or whatever the saying goes. Like, it's just the Saints are not strong enough to beat the Commanders. That's all I want to say.
The Saints have been through some shit this year. Like they looked like the
Yeah,
best team in football for 2 weeks, then they look like the worst team in football the next like 5 6 weeks. Then they win a couple games, then they lose, but then they win one, but then they lose Derek Carr. Like, do
it's
they
the
have
Rocky
fight
curse.
left? But I will say this: I want to paint you a picture with some stats. Washington is top 8 in yards per attempt, passer rating, and they're top 4 in completion percentage. However, the Saints are top 4 in defensive completion percentage, top 4 in defensive passer rating, and they have more interceptions on defense than they have allowed passing touchdowns. One of only 4 teams: the Vikings, the Steelers, and the Lions, which is pretty damn good company for the Saints
Hmm.
defense. However, they have a terrible run defense. 25th in rushing yards allowed, and they're tied for dead last with the Panthers in yards per carry allowed, which means Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, run the ball all day long. Run it the entire game, and Washington will win this game easily.
Oh well,
If
then
they
you have
get
the wide
pass
receiver.
happy and they get cute, they're gonna fuck this up. But I'm picking the Commanders because it's an easy formula. Easy
But
formula.
but if they run the ball, then the wide receivers are not gonna be happy. They're gonna be complaining about the passing and how they're not getting the ball and the routes are not matching. And I hate the media, but I
It's
agree,
receivers,
Commanders.
man. Receivers, they're a different breed. It's
It's
always
fine.
it's a
I understand.
tale as old as time.
I understand they gave bonuses for the amount of touchdowns and the amount of yards and the amount of whatever the bonus is. I understand they do get those. I understand they want those. So it's fine. I understand completely. Plus, they gotta understand this is a team sport. All right. The most important thing is the team wins. You get the win, good. If you don't, then complain. But that whole issue is settled. We'll talk about it later.
All right, next up, Bengals Titans. I'm picking the Bengals. Who you got?
You picking the Bengals? You're not picking your Tennessee Titans?
No, I left that baby in the dumpster weeks ago.
I'm thinking the Bengals too. I think they finally find themselves in a spot where they can start winning some games. They won against the Cowboys. It was a really tough game for
Stole it.
them.
They stole it.
Hey, they got it. They took advantage of the Cowboys' mistakes. All right, they could have caught that block punt, but no. Well, for some reason, I don't know the name of the player who did. He just decided to just flip it back from under his armpit and just
Oruwariye.
Jesus. I'm sorry, guy, but yeah, you should have caught that ball, man. I'm picking the Bengals. I think they're due for a couple of straight wins, and they've been playing well offensively. The defense still is horrendous. I think they should get a new DC and maybe get some
No,
help.
no, no. It
No, no
ain't Lou
DC.
Anarumo's fault.
No.
It's because they're giving all the money to the offense and they got nothing left for the
All
defense.
right. Well, then
And they
my
lost a
second
bunch of
point.
guys.
Well, which brings me to my second point. They should definitely work on strengthening that side of the ball during the offseason. So, but I'm picking the Bengals.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say in this game except I want to make a point right now to whoever runs the FanDuel Instagram account. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. That's all I got to say. But just know I'm coming for you. I know what you're doing. I'm coming for you. Punk
I
ass
have
bitch.
I have no idea what's going on, but okay.
Every day, the FanDuel Instagram account posts some shit about how either are the Bengals actually good? Is Joe Burrow actually the MVP? Is Jamar Chase better than Justin Jefferson? Stop it. Just stop it. Please. Or I'm coming for you. It's that simple.
Pro lives in LA.
Clown. All right, I'm moving on unless you got anything else to say on
Yeah,
this.
it's done. This is not a good game to. I'm not watching this game, so yeah, go ahead.
All right, next up, Kansas City Chiefs coming off of one of their devil magic bullshit wins that everyone is just throwing their hands up at. Like, are you fucking kidding me? headed to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns.
I was really tempted to pick the Browns in this game. I said, maybe the Jermaine's Winston positivity and CTE energy is able to, balance out that voodoo magic the Chiefs are doing to win those games. Maybe. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna bet against the Chiefs. They're gonna get it done one way or another. Whether it's Taylor Swift's Black Magic, Andrew Reid's Black Magic, Patrick Mahomes' Black Magic, I don't give a shit. They're gonna get it done. They're gonna win this game. Probably some bullshit reason. Bet the under because all their games are getting the under. Just bet the under. That's it. Chiefs. You're picking the Browns, aren't you?
No. I liked what you were getting on with like Jameis and his energy counteracting the voodoo magic. I'm intrigued by that concept, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. Because I don't care if you don't believe in magic, you don't believe in voodoo, you don't believe in juju, energy, any of that shit. I could tell you for a fact it exists in the world of football. It might not exist out here. I think it does. Other people don't, but trust me, that shit exists in football. So I'm curious. That was a very interesting point that I had not thought of. But I'm picking the Chiefs. I think the football reason, if the Browns can force turnovers on Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes has turned the ball over a lot more than he has in his career thus far. But the Browns don't force a lot of turnovers. I believe they only have 6 interceptions or 4 interceptions on the year. So
I'm not sure.
I don't think it's going to happen. Chiefs defense is playing too good. Probably going to force a couple turnovers on Jameis. I'm picking the Chiefs. I'm not getting cute with this.
Here's a prediction. Patrick Mahomes is going to get sacked 3 times.
You said 2 last week, right? They took care of that shit real quick.
Yep. 3 times this week. He's going to get sacked 3 times, and you're going to see him complaining on the sidelines, and he's going to get mentally unstable, and that's when he starts fucking up and turning the ball over. That happened last week. I told you it's going to happen. Almost
this
won.
Is true.
Almost won.
And the Browns, they only have 4 interceptions on the year, which is tied for 3rd worst in the league. So I don't see it.
It's about the passing rush, about the pass rush. That's what the Browns defense is all about. Just the pass rush. That's it.
I would like to point out to you at this point, as I'm going through and looking at the teams or looking at the games, we collectively have agreed on 6 straight road teams winning, and you also picked the Rams, who are a road team. So as of right now, you have picked 7 road teams to win, 0 home teams.
Well, yet.
Yeah, we'll get there. The Eagles are at home this week, so we know where you're going with that one.
Of course.
All right, next up, we got the Miami Dolphins headed, not a terrible flight, Houston to take on the Texans, who are coming off a bye. Dolphins coming off a win, coming off the rough Thanksgiving outing against the Packers. They've won, 5 of their last 6, the Dolphins, I want to say. Texans still looking a little shaky, but they get a bye week to prepare. Texans, Dolphins, who you like in this one?
I saw a meme that Tua has reverse CTE, where every time he gets CTE, he just gets better instead of worse. It's a horrible meme, but it feels like it fits. They're playing well. They're playing well, even though they still can't play in cold weather. Like I said, as soon as I saw them in that cold weather, shivering and covered up, and McDaniels had their red nose, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I was like, they're not going to win this game. They're not. But, they go into Texas. They're not going to the cold. I mean, they're not going to the extreme cold. Texas can get a little cold. I'm picking the Texans off the bye. I think they are due for some wins again. And that team is leading the division but struggling still somehow. So I think they need a strong victory, and I think they're going to get that strong victory against the Dolphins. But it's going to be a fun and interesting game to watch. There's your home team pick.
All right. Here's another one. I got a bunch of stats for you. Houston,
Here we go.
Top of the league in defensive completion percentage. They've given up a league-high 26 passing touchdowns, though. but they're 6th in defensive passer rating. Both of these teams, top 10 rushing defenses in yards allowed. Texans, pretty pedestrian across the board offensively, just middle of the pack across the board. Dolphins, very mid-pack in terms of defensive completion percentage. Not bad, but not good. 11th in yards per attempt allowed, though. And they're tied for 5th in pass defenses allowed. So what that says to me is CJ Stroud ain't gonna have a great day. Both these are top 10 rushing defenses, so I wouldn't expect anyone to go off on the ground. And Houston, excellent, top defensive completion percentage. But Tua, I believe since he's come back, I think in general he's on pace to break the single season completion percentage record. So those two things could counter out a little bit. But I think the Dolphins are going to be able to do more of what they like to do than Houston is. And despite how much I want the Dolphins to win less than 9 games and cash this bet, I do think they're going to go into Houston and they're going to get the win.
Does Adam still believe the Dolphins are going to, make the playoffs?
He never said they were going to make the playoffs. He said that they're about to reel off. No, he did. That's not how Adam works. Adam does not work in absolutes. Adam always gives himself wiggle room, which I respect because I do the same. Except when I'm on this show and I make insane declarative statements. But no, he said the Dolphins are about to reel off a bunch of wins. Watch out. They're going to get back in the playoff hunt for that 7th seed.
So you was like a watch out for the Dolphins. All right.
He was 100% right, but I need to cash this bet. That's
so you're picking the Fins.
Yes.
All right, Fins up.
I don't know about the Texans, man, but this is a game they need to win because they got some tough games on the schedule. I believe they still have the Steelers and the Chiefs back to back.
Yeah, Stroud has been having that sophomore slump where he just gets, he's not playing as well as he did last year. Like last year, he was one of the top players at quarterbacks in the league. This year, he's been struggling a lot. So it's tough for him. It's just what happens. This is football. Teams change. Teams get better. Some teams get worse. Pieces get moved around. But I still think the Texans are one of the top teams.
Played a tougher schedule. They had to play the NFC North loaded division. I mean, they play their division, which sucks, and that's why they're leading their division. But you win the division one year, or you make the playoffs, and you're one of those top 2 teams in your division. Like you're playing better teams in your conference.
Yeah. Definitely. And, I still think they're one of the top teams in the AFC, even though they're not the top of the AFC, in my opinion.
I don't think they're going to win a playoff game. But
me neither.
We'll get there when we get there. All right, next up, we got the Battle of the Horses. I believe we're moving on to the 4 o'clock slate here with this game. And I believe for the first time for you, second time for me, the home team is going to get picked because my Denver Broncos play host to the Indianapolis Colts. This is a consequential game. Colts win this game, they get to 7-7. Broncos fall to 8-6. They're only a game back, and they got the tiebreaker. It's a huge game for the Colts. Huge game.
Listen,
and
I'm starting to believe, so I'm picking the Broncos. All right, I'm not going with the Colts. I don't trust the Colts. They're very uneven. Sometimes they play really well. Sometimes they just play like shit. So I'm not going to trust them. I think the Broncos are on the momentum. They're on the hype train. They're moving around. They're rolling. They're getting things done. Yeah, they had that heartbreaking loss against the Chiefs with the block field goal attempt. But they're still good. They're still really good. Sean Payton's had those boys, working, and Bo Nix is playing his ass out. So I think the Broncos are going to win this horse ball or, ranch ball, whatever you want to call this ball. It's going to be a good game, but I'm picking the Broncos.
All right. Let me talk to you for a minute.
Here we go.
Broncos are 12th in the league in defensive completion percentage, going up against Anthony Richardson, who cannot complete a pass to save his life. The Colts, meanwhile, are 31st in defensive completion percentage. And what that means is Bo Nix is about
It's
to
about
carve these motherfuckers up. We're eating horse meat for dinner in Denver, and it ain't Bronco meat, it's Colt meat. He's carving them up, dude. He might complete 90% of his passes in this game. And then on the flip side, Denver is 6th in the league in rushing yards allowed, and they're tied for 2nd in yards per carry. And what that means is Jonathan Taylor, your best offensive weapon, the one thing you can lean on and trust, because you can't trust Anthony Richardson, he ain't going to be able to do shit on the Denver defense. Denver has one of the top defensive units in the league. Again, I've been saying it for weeks. They do not play sexy football. So you don't watch them. You don't pay attention to them. But they're playing damn good football. They got blown out by the Ravens back whenever. They narrowly lost to the Chiefs. And what have they done outside of that? Just beat people. The Colts, this is a huge game for them. They win this. They're in a really good spot to sneak in and make the playoffs. But it ain't gonna happen. Because Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos,
I,
baby.
I'm all in on the Broncos hype train. I'm gonna ride with them and see where this goes for them.
You gotta love it, baby.
Too bad they play in the fucking same division as the Chiefs.
I'm really mad that the Bills lost to the Rams because I really wanted the Bills to get the top seed, Chiefs 2 seed, Broncos 7 seed. Broncos go into Kansas City first round of the playoffs and just drag their nuts all over Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. I'm not going to say Taylor Swift because that would be a sex crime, but just drag their nuts all over the Chiefs. It could still happen. We
You
could
know the
pray for
Chiefs.
it. Maybe it happens in the second round. I would love to see it. Just love to see it.
Do you know the
Love to see
Chiefs
it.
are not named after the Native American elders?
Who are they named after? The tribal
After
chief?
some no, but acknowledge. Um, Apparently they're named after some people who owned the team, and they were called. They had the nickname the Chief. Like they're not even indigenous. They're not even Native American.
Lamar
Like
Hunt?
I don't know who it was.
Was he named the chief? That'd be
Somebody they got
interesting.
somebody called. Somebody was called the Chief. That was like their nickname, and that's who what the team was named after. Something like that. Yeah, I read that. I found that out recently. I'm not really sure if it's true or not. If it is, it's very disappointing that they're using Native American just because they're called the Chiefs.
I don't know. I feel like it's better than just having fucking Lamar Hunt's face as a logo. That would be
I
dumb.
mean, it's better than just calling their hunts the hunts like the Browns.
At least it's not an offensive logo or name like the old Cleveland Indians logo or the Washington Redskins. So at least they kept it respectful, even if it is appropriation.
They just gotta fall, like slow down the. They
Yeah,
gotta
probably.
they gotta tone that back. They're probably gonna get like toned down a couple of years from now, but it's the least offensive Native American team in the NFL. I mean, the other one wasn't really changed.
Ain't my place to feel one type of way or another about it.
Sorry about that
Ain't my place.
I'm sorry for the side conversation here, but yeah, let's get. All right, so
This
you
is
picked
not
the.
a woke program, but it is also not anti woke. We are a bipartisan program.
I don't give a shit.
We're here to talk football. We ain't here to talk socio
Politics.
political issues. All right. Next up, we're getting into the meat of that. No, let me do this one first. New England Patriots headed to the desert to take on the suddenly free falling, kind of spiraling Arizona
Free
Cardinals.
falling, free falling, Bounce back, Cardinals.
I
They need that
agree.
win. They need that win. They're at home. The Patriots are not the best team right now, even though Drake May is playing really well, or attempting to play really well. Yeah, this is a bounce back game. The Cardinals are going to win this game, which is going to continue to make it difficult for that division to be decided. That I feel like that division is just going to be decided like right at the last week. Like it's just not gonna. We're not gonna have a clear winner until like the last week.
Oh yeah. There's a
But yeah, Cardinals.
Seahawks Rams play each other, and the Niners and Cardinals play each other, and that's going to be like crazy. And they're all going to have to be. Well, I guess they got the Saturday games. Let me not get into that. I'm picking the Cardinals. I think they're the Patriots. I don't know. I
What
don't
are you,
know.
Tony? What are you, Tony Romo?
I don't know, Jim. I don't know. Part of me wants to consider the Patriots, but I've seen the Cardinals play good football. They played good football the first half against Minnesota, and for whatever reason, they can't beat Seattle. It is what it is. But
And
they're a better team than New England.
Mary just is a small, fast little fuck.
You
Like
can't sack him.
he's so fast. He's so
He
fast.
just
Why
scurries
does he?
around.
Why does he run the ball more often? Like, dude is so fast.
Oh, he ran all over us. He had like 70 something yards on us.
All right, well, since we're both in agreement with the Cardinals, we can move on from this. Patriots, you were frisky at the start of the season. I was excited about you, but you let me down. Hopefully, next season you'll be friskier.
We haven't disagreed on a game since the Thursday night game. This is a bad precedent to set. All right, next up, might disagree on this one. We'll see how this goes. Buffalo Bills 10-3, coming off a very tough loss in Los Angeles to the Rams, headed to the Motor City to take on, and just for Gavin, I won't say it, to take on the Detroit Lions, who are still atop the NFC, still beating people's brains in. Bills, Lions, two top contenders. Who you got?
You know what I said about the Ravens earlier? How they're angry and they just want to squash somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the Bills this week. I'm picking the Bills.
Okay.
Josh Allen needs to get angry. He's too nice. Get angry, Josh. Get angry and just ran over the Lions because I need you to run over the Lions. They need to lose at least 2 games. Just have to lose 2 games. I just be one of those. So I'm picking the Bills because of the reason I said they're bouncing back from that loss last week against the Rams. They're angry, and like I said, the Lions are slowing down. The injuries are mounting up. Their defense is slowing down. That's going to be tough. Their offense is still playing very well, but the injuries are mounting up and it's slowing them down. So I'm picking the Bills.
Let me rattle off some stats for you on this
Oh,
one.
here we
Bills.
fucking go. Let me be a
Hey,
noob.
this. No, I'm just. I. This was one that the more I looked into the stats, the more interesting it got. The Bills, 19th in rushing yards allowed, 26th in yards per carry allowed, only 7th in rush touchdowns allowed, 26th in runs over 20 yards allowed, second to last in 40-plus yard runs allowed, 28th in defensive completion percentage, but 8th in yards per attempt, so they keep things in front of them, 13th in defensive passer rating, which is pretty damn good. And they are forcing some turnovers. However, Lions are first in defensive passer rating. Only 11 passing touchdowns allowed all season to 14 interceptions. One of the 4 teams that I had mentioned before. Second in defensive completion percentage, 8th in yards per allowed, tied with the Bills. So when you look at this on paper, ain't no way the Bills are going to beat the Lions. But like you said, the Lions are beat to shit. These numbers are the whole season. What does it look like in the recent past? Hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been as dominant as it's been. But I still think the key is those first few stats, the Bills against the rush. Again, they haven't given up a ton of rushing touchdowns, but there's not a lot of teams in the league that run the ball the way that Detroit runs the ball. With Sonic and Knuckles against a bad run defense, now, yards, they're only 19th. They're 19th, but you would think they'd be worse with how bad the run defense, the optics are, what the fans talk about when they talk about the Bills' run defense. But a lot of that is the fact Josh Allen's putting up points and you're beating up on bad teams and they're not running the ball. They're passing the ball, trying to get back in the game. So you don't have the accumulation of rushing yards. But the
You had
yards per
3.
carry,
Sorry, go ahead.
The yards per carry, 26th, 26th in runs allowed over 20 yards, second to last in runs allowed over 40 yards. I just think Montgomery, they're going to pound it with Montgomery and wear him down, and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to bust out some big runs. And I mean, you can kind of say this anytime the Bills play a contender, which is why I'm sort of questioning, are they really a top contender, even though I like them a lot and I'm rooting for them? Because it always kind of comes down to, can Josh Allen, Superman cape, put the team on his back? And like the last 2 weeks, he's done something no quarterback's done. They win one, they lose the other. And they're playing a much better team this week in Detroit. So I until these injuries start costing the Lions, I cannot pick against them. I'm picking Detroit.
All right. That's understandable. That's a very good argument. Now, do you happen to have the stats for the Green Bay Packers?
The Green Bay Packers, I have some stats here, yes.
Check the defensive stats if you have them right there.
They're Green Bay's pass defense, they're fairly mid-pack in terms of the pass defense. Top 10 in rushing yards allowed and yards per carry allowed. And yeah, that's all I have written down. What else you want me to look up? So their defense
Not,
it's good in
so
some areas, solid in others, but they're not bad anywhere.
so compared to the Bills, the Packers have a better defense. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
All right. I just want to make sure because you saw what happened last week. The Lions beat the Packers just by 3 points. Um,
Yeah, it's a divisional game. You got to throw the records out the window.
I mean, still, the Packers gave them a hell of a fight. So I was wondering what the stats are because if the stats are less than the Bills, then the Bills have a bigger chance. You're tempting me to change my pick, but I still have faith in the Bills. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna stay with the Bills.
Listen, I mean, like Shakir's been playing great. Amari Cooper's been playing great. I don't know if they're going to have Keon Coleman or Kincaid back. Like the Bills have the pieces on offense for Josh Allen to be able to do his thing. James Cook, they just for whatever reason didn't give him a lot of touches last week, but he's had a great season. So like I think to a degree they're going to be able to keep up, but I just think if the Lions are smart, and I have no reason to think that they're not smart, I just think they're gonna pound the rock and just pound the Bills defense into a pulp, control the clock, control the game flow. Don't let Josh Allen get his hands on the ball. Like the Bills can't hurt you if Josh Allen's not on the field.
And
And
not
they
let
have the pieces to make that happen.
and the Lions need to stop getting their own way when it comes to the coaching decisions about going in certain situations which you just kick.
He's a vibes guy. Thus far, like it will bite them in the ass. But
It's due. It almost happened last week. It's due. So they better, Dan Campbell better slow down.
which call almost cost them?
I forward the nail call. They out of the four, I have like they have five, and out of the five, one of them was not successful, and it almost cost him. Almost.
Okay. I don't know.
So he
He's
needs
a
to. He needs
vibes
to.
guy. You gotta
I know he's. Hey, listen,
you gotta stick a
Sirianni.
dip in and feel the vibe, dude.
Sirianni does the same thing. He likes to oh, I trust you. That's why I go on fourth and whatever on fourth down. Like it's. I
See, that's
understand it.
different though. Like those guys, I don't like it when coaches do that. Where they're like, no, I trust my guys. I don't want it to be about you should trust your guys, but that's not the be all end all. And that's why I like, for the most part, what Dan Campbell does. Even though it's going to bite them, it's just, is it going to bite you in a key spot in the playoffs and fuck up your playoff run? But I like vibes guys where they know, like, I trust my guys, but I'm going to punt it here. I trust my guys and fuck it. If it just feels right. Like, this feels like the moment. I think there's something to that when you're just in tune with the game. You could just feel when the flow is right.
I respect the hell out of Dan Campbell. I think his culture, the one that he has established in that team, is excellent. It has done wonders not only for the team, but for the city itself. So all the power to him. But like you said, it might bite them in the ass soon. So he needs to check the vibes a little bit better.
All right. Well, Next up, we got two more playoff teams right now. Tampa Bay Buccaneers headed out here to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, coming off a tough loss to the Chiefs. Bucks Chargers. Who you got?
Bet the over, just so you know. Bet the over.
I don't know about that.
Well, what's the over? Bet the over. I'm
Bet
telling
the
you,
over in a Chargers game?
yes.
45 and a half.
Baker
I don't.
Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's gonna bake, and the Chargers are gonna do some crazy shit. I'm telling you, this is gonna be one of the best games all week. I'm sad I'm gonna miss it because I'm gonna be watching the Eagles game, but it's gonna be one of the best games all season. You'll see. I'm picking the Chargers, just because of that defense once again.
But you think Baker's going to go off?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Well,
that doesn't mean
I
he's gonna win.
yeah, sure. I'm on the Chargers. I think they need a bounce back here, and they need a win over a decent or good football team because they just don't have any. They have one of the lowest strength of victories. They might have the lowest strength of victory of every current playoff team, but they're top five in yards per attempt allowed and defensive passer rating. They've only given up 15 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Bucks are 23rd in defensive completion percentage, 21 pass touchdowns allowed with only 6 interceptions. Chargers kind of a mid-pack run defense, which is maybe a little surprising for a Jim Harbaugh team, but it's his first year there. Bucks not great at defending the run. I think the Bucks' key to win is going to be to pound the rock. I think Bucky Irving should be back. I would give him and Rashad White a ton of carries. They gave him a ton of carries a couple weeks ago. Like the Bucks are one of these. I don't think we've had a situation yet where I've gotten on the Bucks for not running the ball. I think that's the best way to attack the Chargers relative to your strengths because they do have strengths all over. But Baker, he's been turning the ball over a little bit, and the Chargers will turn the ball, will force turnovers. So I think ultimately, I don't know about that over 45 and a half, but I like the Chargers to bounce back from that Chiefs loss here and beat a tough game Bucks team that is not going to lose for the rest of the season.
Baker's about to bake and go off. Trust me. It's in LA. I know he likes to smell insults, even though I'm pretty sure they're not smelling insults. So he's gonna fucking go off.
We'll see. I'm rooting for him. Although I do not want to play at Tampa Bay in the playoffs. I'll tell you that much right
Oh, me neither. I cannot. I do not want to
now.
be in Tampa Bay. I don't want to. I don't want him to be in the fucking playoffs. I want him to get eliminated. But that division sucks, and it's theirs for to take it. So
Yeah. All right, next up we got your game. Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Battle of Pennsylvania,
the
hosting
Pennsylvania Bowl.
the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10-3.
I'm nervous. Can you notice?
You should be.
Yeah, I am.
You should be.
I am. I mean, we're facing what I've been saying is the best coach team in the entire league. I know you like Andy Reid. I know you've been talking about him recently. I know I've seen your posts. Uh, but Mike Tomlin is he's a weapon. He made Russell Wilson good again. He made Russell Wilson great again. Like it's a very difficult game for the Eagles, especially coming out of that Panthers game where we did not look great on either side of the ball. We looked sloppy. We looked like things were not going our way that game. So it was really tough. With that said, I have all the faith in the world that we are able to bounce back. This whole situation that has come out about the passing game on AJ Brown, then BG Vandergram started coming out saying that he's not friends with Jalen, AJ. He's not friends with Jalen Hurts anymore. That whole situation has been cleared out. Whether it was all true or not, they're just trying to keep the media out of it. AJ Brown came out today. He said, "No, we're good. Jalen and I are good." And then Jalen did the same thing at the press conference. Said, "No, we're good." So if that's the case, good. I'm happy. I'm glad. And I hope this is not a distraction. I hope this whole situation is able to be they're able to put it aside because they need to focus on what's the important thing, and that's winning a very, very tough team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm picking the Birds. I'm sticking with my Birds. But trust me, I am extremely nervous about this game.
I'm picking the Steelers. Steelers gonna get it done. I'm not gonna sit here. I can't litigate the whole AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Brandon Graham, all that shit. I don't know. I He was either good all along and Brandon Graham don't know what the fuck he's talking about, or it's not good now and they're just saying the right things, which means it's being handled at least properly in the meantime. Um, but Steelers fourth in run defense, sixth in yards per carry allowed, seventh in runs of 20 plus yards allowed, top 10 in defensive completion percentage, yards per attempt, and second in defensive packer rating or passer rating. They've only given up 4 interceptions on offense, but the Eagles are the top in yards per attempt, so they do keep things in front of them, which is very Vic Fangio. He's much better at running the Fangio system, surprise, than Ed Donatel was. But I just think that they're whether the vibes are weird or not, it doesn't matter. Offensively, like they're not passing the ball a lot. Saquon is going to be Saquon, but I don't expect Saquon to be 250 yards, 300 yards of offense. Saquon, I think he's going to have a good game, but is he going to be able to carry them to victory? Or Jalen Hurts probably gonna have to pass the ball more, and we're gonna see how that goes. If he could protect the ball and not which he hasn't been turning the ball over, but if you turn the volume up, is he still gonna be able to protect the ball? Because they're gonna have to convert some key third downs. Like you cannot just ride Saquon all day on against the Steelers defense. I don't think. And the Eagles, they're due for a loss. I don't even think it's necessarily the worst thing for them. Obviously, you want to catch Detroit and get the 1 seed, but it doesn't hurt to have a loss late. If you're not going to get the 1 seed, it doesn't hurt to have a loss in here somewhere. Seattle's not a threat to take the 2 seed. The Bucks aren't a threat. Atlanta's not a threat. Rams, so on and so forth. Like you're going to be the 2 seed if you don't catch Detroit, and it might, you lose a game against a tough team. You have to find it within you to bounce back the next week, and that can kind of re-galvanize the team. But I just the Steelers are playing really good football right now.
Yeah, they are. They are.
And not that the Eagles aren't, but I don't know. I'm
agree.
just smelling. I'm smelling Steelers on this.
I completely agree. But I have faith in the Birds. I have faith in the boys. I think Fangio, he has shown that he's able to adapt, especially after halftime. I think he has shown that he's able to rally the forces up and have that defense work hard and get the results that they need to win a game. But this is going to be a tough game. This is not going to be a really simple game. This is one of the tougher opponents that we're going to be facing this season. So I'm picking the Birds, but like I said, it's going to be a really tough game. I know you're picking the Steelers. It's completely understandable. This is going to be one of the hardest games all season for the Birds. So yeah, I'm picking the Birds, but it's going to be hard.
All right, next up we got Green Bay. This is Sunday Night Football. Green Bay headed to Seattle, the Pacific Northwest, take on the Seahawks. These are 2 playoff teams. This right now, if the playoffs started today, would be a first-round matchup. 3-seed Seahawks hosting the 6-seed Green Bay Packers. One team at 8-5, one at 9-4. Not a lot separating these two. Packers, tough loss last week. Seahawks still cruising right along. 3 straight wins, I believe. 4 straight wins, 5 straight wins. I don't know. But they're doing good. Who you got? Seahawks, Packers.
I've been picking the Seahawks for the past couple of weeks, and they haven't been fucking me over. So I'm picking the Seahawks again. This is going to be one of the. Listen, I don't give the advantage to either one of these teams. Maybe the Packers a little bit more. I'm sure you got stats to prove that and back that up. I mean, you already told me some of the Packers stats. And then Gino, he's sometimes he forgets how to play football. Sometimes he balls out. So it's an interesting thing. But I'm picking the Seahawks. I think they're trying to stay ahead of that division, and they really need that win. The Packers, they're trying to stay in the playoffs. I understand that as well, but the Seahawks really want to keep that top spot in the division, so they need to win this game, and I think they need to win more than the Packers need. So I think that's going to be the difference maker.
I came in prepared to pick the Seahawks. I already talked about the Packers' defensive stats. They are top 10 in rush yards allowed and yards per carry allowed. And their pass defense, pretty middle of the pack. Seahawks, they can be run on. So Josh Jacobs probably going to be key in this game, but they're 11th in defensive passer rating, 7th in yards per attempt allowed, and they're tied for 10th in picks. Jordan Love hasn't thrown a pick in a few weeks. I think that could be the key to the game. Do they ride Josh Jacobs? Does Josh Jacobs just run on Seattle? Can Seattle keep doing what they've been doing on the ground? I don't know if Kenneth Walker's playing or not. I don't know what his status is, but I know Zach Charbonnet last week with no Kenneth Walker ran for over 120 yards on the Cardinals. So can they keep running the ball? Obviously, I'm going to say run the ball. It's going to come down to running the ball. But can Geno not throw a bonehead interception in the red zone? Can Jordan Love not turn the ball over and keep that streak going? It's a toss-up game. Seattle is at home. I think Green Bay is a little more talented. How many games have we disagreed on so far? 1, 2, 3.
3.
If Seattle loses, it's good for the Vikings. If Seattle loses, the Vikings clinch a playoff spot, regardless of what else happens in every other game. I'm gonna pick Green Bay.
That has to hurt.
They're a good football team. I haven't figured Seattle out yet. And I'm not sitting here saying they're not good. I just haven't figured out like how they are 8-5 good.
Listen, they've been fucking me on picks since the start of the season. Now, for some reason, I've been picking them in the past couple of weeks, and they've been winning the games. So I'm just gonna say they just want to make sure that they keep that division title, so they're doing whatever it takes to win. So we'll see.
All right, well, move on. We got a random late season Monday night doubleheader.
Jesus. I understand
One of these games I ain't gonna pay a damn bit of attention to because the other one, the first one, I don't know why it's the first one. I guess because
they're both on at the same time, aren't they?
I think the first one starts a little. They stagger them. I could be wrong, but I think they're staggered. But it makes sense because the one game's in the Midwest, other games on the West Coast. Yeah, there's a 30-minute staggering, so I'll catch the last 30 minutes of the last one. But first, my Minnesota Vikings host the Chicago Bears, who, ooh man, it's bad. 7 straight losses for the Bears. Vikings, meanwhile, 6 straight wins. Vikings, Bears, who you got?
Is that a serious question?
It's a divisional game. You got to throw the records out the window.
I know, but you got to understand this. The Niners are not a good team this season. They're not. And they obliterated the Bears last week. Was it the first quarter or the first half where they had like 300-something yards against the Bears? And the Bears were like, what, 4 yards? 4?
Mm-hmm.
That's not even college numbers. That's not even high school number. What the hell was that?
Pee-wee.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. That team is horrible. I feel bad for Caleb Williams. I feel bad for the rest of the players, but they are not doing well. They're not well coached. They're not well. I don't know what it's the culture. I don't know what it is. They're just not doing well. And Caleb is not a good. I'm sorry, he's not a bad quarterback. He's not bad. He's good, but he is not in a good system. The Bears system sucks. They ruined Justin Fields. They're ruining Caleb Williams. And it's just a black hole that's just swallowing everybody that's involved in it. It's a horrible thing. I'm picking the Vikings. Fuck the Bears.
As is customary, I will not pick this game, but I will tell you this. The Vikings lead the league in picks and turnovers. They are fourth in sacks. They are third in defensive passer rating, and they are top two after a long stretch of being top one in run defense.
Who's number one?
Blake Cashman is playing in this game. They are 10-0 with Blake Cashman in the lineup. And the first time they played the Bears in Chicago, these stats were roughly the same, and the Bears' offensive line was still terrible, still is. They give up a lot of sacks. However, Caleb Williams does not turn the ball over. If nothing else, Caleb Williams needs to be given respect for the fact that this dude, for as much as he's hit and as much as he has to run around and do shit, as much as he gets sacked, he does not turn the ball over hardly at all. So he deserves credit for that. The first meeting, I don't believe Caleb turned the ball over, and they sacked him one time in overtime. I would like to believe over the course of two games that sack thing is going to even out, and the Vikings are going to get some sacks on him this week after not getting them on him in the first game, despite how many sacks. Like they'll give up like 8 sacks. There's been multiple games this season where they've given up 7, 8, 9 sacks. It's insane. I'm not expecting a turnover because Caleb takes care of the ball so well. But again, we lead the league in picks. We lead the league in turnovers. You're in your building. I'm wearing my white Adidas tracksuit because it will be the winter whiteout. They're wearing all white. They're encouraging all the fans to wear white to the game. And just one pick. He's due. He's due to throw a pick. He's due to get sacked 18 times by Jonathan Grenard, who leads the league in pressures and hurries. He's due. Him and Andrew Van Ginkel, second in the league among duos in sacks. He's due. We're due to get a bunch of sacks on Caleb, due to get a pick. We got a very opportunistic defense. You know they got at least 3 or 4 top tier celebrations lined up for any big defensive play. Cam Bynum, Beasley, Josh Metellus, they're going to cook up some ridiculous, some reference to some movie from 20, 30 years ago that everybody knows somehow. And they should get this done. This is another game, and because the Bears played them close, because the Bears had that furious comeback, forced overtime, and took you to the edge in Chicago, you can't overlook them because you know what happens if you start to overlook them. And they're looking at, all right, we got Seattle, we got Green Bay, we got Detroit. We can't fuck around in this game. It's easy to look past them to these tough games at the end of the schedule, but they know that you can't fuck around with Chicago because they could come in and steal it from you because it almost happened to them. So instead of looking ahead, they're saying we got to handle our business here so we can focus on this tough stretch because basically the playoffs start after that. You're playing playoff teams through the rest of the season and then in the postseason. So the Vikings should win this game. They should handle business. I would like to see them win by double digits, close it out like they didn't close it out the first time and Caleb forced overtime. Just handle business, baby. Keep rolling, keep rocking, keep rolling. Get to 12-2. Keep the streak going. Carry that momentum into that tough stretch into the playoffs.
I know you don't pick the games, but any Vikings win to me is a point to your end. So that's fine.
Well, because
But yeah,
every week I sit up here and say they should win this game, and one of the one time I didn't say that is one of the losses they have, and then they lost to the Rams, and that was my fault because I jinxed it on a top 10 sports or football podcast in America. Shouldn't have said anything. It's my fault. I take that
very
L.
that's very fine. That's very fine. But yeah, Vikings should get this done easily, dude. So don't worry.
All right, so then we got this bonus Monday night football game that I assume, unless you're a fan of one of these two teams, ain't nobody tuning into this shit. When you got, at least in the other game, you got the Vikings. Like the Vikings they're not just a good team; they're a fun team to watch. They do a lot of crazy shit on defense. Got a bunch of celebrations, explosive offense. Sam Darnold, 22 for 28, 346 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles. Let's talk about it. But we already talked about it, so I'm not going to litigate it again. Falcons at Raiders. Falcons, You might have to sing "Free Fallin'" again because I don't know if anyone's free falling worse than Kirk Cousins, who has 0 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in 4 games. Not good. Not good for Kirko. No Kirko chains out here anymore. This is Kirkland jeans and a Kohl's gift card.
Some Gap Jericho. Listen, I understand completely that you guys really pretty much dominated uh, Kirk Cousins in his comeback to Minnesota. But they're playing the Raiders. I don't care if they're in Vegas. The Raiders are still bad, even though they almost beat, you know, the Chiefs with that stupid play with the quarter was not paying attention, but it was offside. Whatever. Another one of those cases where the Chiefs just went in a weird way. Uh, I think this is going to be a bounce back game. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to win this game. They're going to be able to get it. Now, I'm concerned about the Falcons in the fact that I think Kirk is cooked. I don't think he's got it anymore. He's not mobile. He's not moving. I think he's just not. He did not recover well from that injury. Clearly, you can see, you can sense it. You can see on the field he did not recover well from the injury. So it's going to be tough. But I still think the Falcons are going to win this game. I think they're going to bounce back and actually get a win over the Raiders. Hit me with the stats.
I didn't write anything down for this game because
Nobody cares.
who gives a shit?
No
I'm on the
offense. No
Falcons.
offense to the fans of any one of these teams. It's just nobody cares about these teams unless you're a fan.
I'm on the Falcons. I think they're going to bounce back. I think Kirk is going to throw at least 2 touchdowns in this game. But the Raiders' pass defense is not as god awful as you might expect for a team that's god awful. But Bijan played really well. Bijan, one thing that impressed me about him in that game last week against the Vikings was his blitz pickup, and they're going to need him back there with Crosby coming off. You might need some help chipping him on off the edge. But I don't know. The Raiders, they're just Aiden O'Connell's down. I know they said it wasn't as bad of an injury as they thought, but I doubt he's going to play. Like who's playing quarterback for them? Fucking Desmond Ritter.
I don't know.
Come
They have
on now.
nobody. They have nobody
Kirk,
right now.
if Kirk can't outplay Desmond Ritter, it might be time to retire. It might be.
We'll see what happens on Monday Night Football, if that happens or not. I know Brock Powers is not enough on the offensive side to beat the Falcons. So
Now I will say this one thing I was shocked about when I was going
the
through
youngest 40-year-old man.
when I was going through the defensive stats for all these other teams, the Falcons' pass defense, and I should have known this because I watched Sam Darnold look like fucking prime 2007 Tom Brady last week. The Falcons' pass defense is cohesively, collectively, maybe the worst in football. They allow their opponents 72% completion percentage. It's the worst in the league. They've allowed 26 touchdowns, tied for worst in the league, and they only have 7 interceptions. 105.5 passer rating allowed, second worst in the league, only behind the Jacksonville Tony Khans. The Falcons' pass defense sucks, and part of it is they have until the last 2 weeks they have not been able to generate any kind of pass rush. But the last 2 weeks they've generated a pretty damn good pass rush. So hopefully for them they can continue that. I'm not changing my pick here, but if Desmond Ritter is ever going to have a game like Daniel Jones had against the Vikings in the playoffs, where someone says, "Oh shit, we should pay this guy. We could do something with this guy." If he's ever going to have one game, one performance that
It
makes
should
people
be
go,
this one.
"Wow, we
Yeah.
got to get our hands on him. We can fix him." It'll be this one because the Falcons' pass defense is atrocious. But I'm sticking with the Falcons. The Raiders stink, and they want Shadur Sanders.
Then, if that is the case, that means that we only disagree on 1, 2, 3,
4
4
4
games.
games.
No,
Yeah, high leverage games too.
that's true.
Rams, Niners.
No, 4, 5 games.
No, I think it's 4.
Rams, Niners, Dolphins, Texans, Bills,
No, I was on the
Giants.
Dolphins. I thought you were on the Dolphins.
I was on the Texans.
Oh, okay.
It's five because Dolphins, Texans. You got the Bills, Lions, and Steelers, Eagles, and then the last one, Packers, Seahawks.
Yeah.
That's not bad. To be completely honest, that's a nice. Those will be some nice tiebreakers. Because last week, because I told you I was going to keep track this past week about who won and which picks were better. You won 10-3, counting the Vikings victory, and I lost at 8-5. Just a difference of 2 games between us. Those games were the Saints and Giants, the Jaguars and Titans, the Bears and 49ers, the Bills and Rams, the Chargers and Chiefs for me. Those were my bad picks where I picked the losing team. You, on the other hand, you had a great, great fucking week. So kudos to you, sir, and your expertise and knowledge of the game.
I told you I had a feeling the Rams were gonna beat the fucking Bills, dude. I just had a feeling.
I'm just glad. I'm just glad that I did not make any bets, thinking I was going to have another perfect week like I had the week before.
No, you missed it. You might have one next year, but
Yeah, not. It's not. It's not going to happen again this year. I doubt it. We're not doing playoffs. Sure, we are.
playoffs.
I have no predictions whatsoever except for the 3 sacks on Patrick Mahomes. That's it.
I had
That's
the
all I
Kirk
have.
Cousins 2 touchdown passes or more. I think
Yeah,
he's gonna get off the schneid.
I mean, yeah, I think Derrick Henry goes off maybe.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What was the stat on that against the Giants? 29th in rushing yards allowed, 30th in yards per carry. Yeah.
He's
Derrick
gonna run
Henry's
all
gonna
over
go
them.
off.
I think that's it. That's it for today. No teams on bye. Every team plays this week. I think
That is
last week
true.
was the last week bye week of the season. I think every team has been on bye. Um, we're week 15, almost playoff time. It's almost over, man.
All
Just like
right.
that.
I got one last thing I want to go through. Now
Uh
that there's no more buys, we got to replace that segment. It's a big segment
oh.
show.
Oh.
We got a new segment. We're going to go through the playoff clinching scenarios for the week.
Oh.
We're going to start with the 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers, who are at Philadelphia at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Fox. The
Game of the
Steelers
week.
can.
The Fox game
It
of the week.
is. Yeah, there you
Yes.
go. The Steelers can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie, or a Miami loss or tie at Houston, plus an Indianapolis loss or tie at Denver. So I
All
think
three.
any of those scenarios could happen.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully.
Steelers gonna
Hope.
make the playoffs. Whether they
Yeah.
make it this week or not, the Steelers gonna make the playoffs.
I mean, they're on top of the division. They got. I think they're 2 or 3 seed right now. Are they not?
3 seed, or no, they're tied for the 2 seed. I don't know what the tiebreaker is right now. Let me pull that up. I'm interested.
Actually, yeah. No, the Bills are the 2 seed.
Yeah, the Bills are still the 2 seed.
Bills are 2 seeds, so they're the 3rd seed, and then the Texans are the 4th seed, right?
Yes.
Uh, Listen, I've been hyped for the Steelers all season long, so this game is going to be really, really exciting for me. But I'm going to be a nervous wreck. I'm going to need to switch from beer to whiskey. Thankfully,
Oh boy.
I have some bourbon already in the pantry over there, so I got some nice bitters to make myself a nice old fashioned here at home. I'll probably just take it straight, just in case I'm about to have a heart attack. So it's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a really tough game, but I'm happy with the Steelers. If they win, I'm not gonna be that mad. I'm gonna be disappointed and sad and frustrated, and probably go work on Monday pissed off. But I'm gonna be happy with the Steelers because I like the Steelers.
Now, have you only been drinking beer during the games during this long win streak? Are you sure you want to mix that up right now in the middle of a hot streak?
No, because I drank whiskey last week, and guess what happened? We almost lost.
Man,
I had no
against the
beer.
Panthers.
I fucked up. I keep fucking
Don't
that up.
don't forget the slides either. I don't know how you habitually are fucking these things up. When every
I
week we talk about it, and
listen.
Josh comes on and he's like, "Caesar, what the fuck are you doing? Get the slides, get the beer. What are we doing? We're terrible." This is why they start every game bad, because you don't have your slides and you don't have your beer. It's your fault. It's not the boys. The boys are doing what they can do.
The slides are on. The slides were on. The little figurines from they were switching sides from where we were going with the ball. Everything was fine. It was just a bad game. It was just bad. It was almost a trap game. All right. It was just a week. All right. It's fine. I've I've been able to watch Eagles games without the beer, and they've won convincingly. So
All
it's
right.
not the beer. The beer is just for
Okay.
me, for my nerves and my anxiety, because I want to make sure that I'm fine when I'm watching the game. But the slides are the key.
I'll take your word for it, but we'll stay in that game because the Eagles, they clinched a playoff spot last week. They can clinch the NFC East this week with a win and a Washington loss or tie, or a tie and a Washington loss.
I don't think Washington's losing.
Probably not, but if they try and pass too much in New Orleans, they got a damn good pass defense. Jaden
We'll
Daniels
see.
throws a couple picks, a couple pick sixes or something. I mean, I don't expect it, but it could happen.
We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I don't expect it either.
You
I don't
play the
think
Commanders next week, right?
that's at their raggedy ass stadium. Yeah.
You want to take care of your own business. You don't want other teams losing for you to get into the playoffs, even if it's a
Yeah,
formality at this
let's
point.
let's let's, let's get it done ourselves. Yeah, they're still
Yes,
making the playoffs. I mean, the Commanders already are right as of right now. They're in the playoffs, in the wild card. So,
it could get it gets slippery though. It's getting tight back there.
like right now, as it stands before this week, I believe they are the seventh seed, and we, the Eagles, will face them in the first
Yes,
divisional in the wild card round. So,
you are correct, sir. But they're only a game up on like the Rams, the Bucks. If the because the Falcons had the tiebreaker on the Bucks. If the Falcons rip off 4 straight wins, like the Commanders ain't out of the woods yet. They
NFC,
have to beat the Saints because I don't think they're gonna beat the Eagles. And if
all
they
right, we'll
beat the Eagles, then they're gonna solidify themselves. But
we'll see. We'll see what happens this week.
I don't know,
But but but
Jim.
but we're not clinching the division this week. That I guarantee you.
We'll see. We also got the Houston Texans can clinch a playoff berth and the AFC South with a win and an Indianapolis loss at Denver.
That's
So
possible. That's possible. That's what I
that
picked.
yeah. So according to you, Texas is going to sew up the South. I think they're gonna have to wait a week, but either way, they're gonna win the division. It's the Colts ain't beating the Broncos, baby. Come on now, Broncos country. Let's ride, let's ride.
I was just waiting for that. What's next?
I'd
What's
love to
next?
see it.
Who's in the verge of clinching?
We got two NFC North teams. The Vikings can clinch a
Ah,
playoff berth with a win or a tie, or a Rams loss or tie at San Francisco, or a Seattle loss or tie versus Green Bay. So they're like, if they fuck this up, it's
so basically,
between now and the end of the season.
I picked both teams are not. If the Rams win and the Seahawks win, which I both pick, I pick both of them. Then you not clinching the division. I mean the playoff berth this
Well,
Sunday.
you pick the Vikings. All they got to do is win. They win, they clinch the playoffs.
Oh, it's a win or not win and.
Yes. They
Oh, my
need
bad.
one of those three things to happen.
All right, all
Or
right,
I
all
guess
right.
four or six technically, because they can win or tie and they're in. The Rams can lose or tie and the Vikings are in. Seattle can lose or tie and the Vikings are in.
All
Or
right,
all
all right.
three could happen.
No,
Which
I
I
mean
think I picked. I
they're
picked
facing
the I picked the Niners and the
and the
Packers.
Packers. Yeah.
And the Vikings should win this game.
only
They
two
should.
divisional only two divisional games this week, so you know.
Well, they're saving them up because the last 2 weeks they just fucking bombard you with that shit.
Yeah. I mean next week already it's like Eagles, Commanders, I believe it's we got Steelers and I don't know, whatever. You may continue, sir.
All right, and this is the last playoff clinching scenario of the weekend. The 9-4 Green Bay Packers at Seattle, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. They can clinch a playoff berth with a win and an Atlanta loss or tie and a Rams 49ers tie. So the Packers probably not going to clinch the playoffs this week.
Has there ever been a game in the NFL that ended in a tie? I've never seen a game end in a tie.
Oh yeah, the most famous was your Eagles. They played the
Oh my god.
Bengals in 2005, I think, and it had been a long time. I had never seen a tie at that point. I think I knew it existed, but it never gotten close because the rules were different. They played a full 15 minutes, and it was like there was no like, oh, if they get a field goal, you get a chance. It's just first person who scores wins. You basically have to go 15 minutes with nobody getting into field goal range. So it just never happened. But the Eagles and Bengals tied, and they asked Donovan McNabb about it because of like the game management and shit at the end, and he was like, I didn't even know a game could end in a tie. And then that became a whole thing, and everyone was like, how do you not know that it could? Yeah.
I mean,
There's been a few. There's been a few in the last few years, hasn't there?
I can't remember. I didn't pay attention. That
The
was the case.
Vikings and Packers tied in, I believe, week 2 of 2018. It was Kirk Cousins' first road game as a Viking.
How did it end in a tie? Like,
Everyone kept missing field goals. It was just like, oh god.
so
I think they tied again a few years earlier. The Vikings were really bad. I want to say 2013. The Vikings were terrible. Aaron Rodgers was out for the season, so the Packers weren't very good. And I fell asleep watching the game because it was so bad. And I woke up, they were in overtime. And I'm like, oh shit, let me watch the rest of this game. And then it ended in a tie. It's like, all right. Glad I snuck that nap in.
Thank God they changed the rules where you got to score.
Yeah.
I mean, this ain't soccer. Come on. We're not fucking playing with the tie. We're not ending. Like, what happens if they in a tie? Did they get a point each?
No, it just goes in it goes in as a tie. So like it makes it uneven, but it also prevents tie breaking scenarios. So like
So it's like
instead of being 10-7, you're 10-6-1. So like any 10-7 team is below you, and any 11-6 team is above you.
I guess. I mean,
yeah,
they just not shouldn't. They should just not let that happen. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Doesn't feel like an American football thing to end in a tie. But every once in a while it happens, and it's kind of
doesn't feel like an American thing. Period.
Yeah, no. Fight
Like,
to the death. As soon as that 10 minutes is over, send your best 2 guys out there to fight to the death.
I mean, baseball is like they tie it, and it's like they just keep going to the fucking score. Like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like, I mean, I guess just soccer does it still.
Yeah, if baseball's not ending in ties, then come on, football. We gotta fix this thing. Can't let baseball come across more macho, more aggressive, more man than you are in any capacity.
Listen, when baseball players used to refer to themselves as ball players instead of athletes, that's when they were manlier. Nowadays, they're just pretty boys from the Caribbean.
Some of them ain't so pretty either.
I mean, look at Juan Soto. Just 15 years and 750 something million. Jesus.
God bless him. God bless his kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and the rest of his line are going to be living real good unless he goes and spends that on a lot of hookers and cocaine. I mean, a lot. 750 plus million is a lot of money.
He's gonna be playing in fucking in New York City. So who knows?
Yeah, well. All right, you got anything else you wanna get to, or can I land this plane?
Nah, man, you can land it. I think it was a fun scenario. I just want to make sure to add that the Noob Football Fan is finally on Twitter, now known as X, at Noob Football Fan. So you can follow me. I'm going to be live tweeting during these games. The games I'm going to be watching are going to be tomorrow night's Thursday Night Football game, as of time of recording. The Rams and 49ers. I'm going to be watching the 1 o'clock game. I'm going to be choosing to watch the Chiefs and Browns game. And then the 4:25 game. What? Why are you laughing?
That's how bad the 1 o'clock slate is.
It's a horrible.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna watch the Chiefs and the Browns.
Commanders, Saints, Bengals, Titans, Dolphins, Texans. I mean, maybe Ravens, Giants, Jets, Jaguars, Cowboys, Panthers. They're all just a bunch of bad games. So I'm just gonna watch the defending champions and see what they do. So the 4:25, obviously, I'm gonna be watching the Eagles. I'm gonna be watching the Sunday Night Football game. I might not watch any of the Monday Night Football games because I'm tired as fuck on Monday nights. But, I always try. But I really like tweeting the games, so just follow me and just send me all your insults. I don't care. I love your insults and all your thoughts, and just reply and whatever you want. Follow me, and you want to follow me on Instagram as well. You can do so at Noob Football Fan as well.
All right, well, that is the Noob football picks for Week 15. Caesar, as always, it's a pleasure. Always have a good time
Thank you so
talking
much for
ball.
having me. That's what I'm doing.
And you know all the shit. Like, subscribe, follow on Instagram at Football Head Show with 2 S's at Football Heads Show. On Instagram, Caesar is at Noob Football Fan on both Instagram and now Twitter. So follow him. He's going to live tweet the games like he just said. Again, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Please leave comments. What are we missing about your favorite team? What should we be talking about your favorite team? What should the national media Muppets be talking about with your favorite team that everybody's missing that we need to know, because we want to know and we want to report it right. So let us know in the comments, and enjoy a beautiful slate of games, even though the 1 o'clock slate kind of sucks. 4 p.m. loaded, so get multiple TVs set up. And until next time, take it easy, football heads.
The 49ers suck.
God bless football.